Welcome to the Chronicle of Contents, where every story unfolds a world of ideas, strategies, and secrets waiting to be explored. Here, we dive deep into the art of creativity, unravel the mysteries of storytelling, and decode the strategies behind successful content creation. If you're ready to elevate your game and captivate the world with your craft, you're in the right place.
Okay, so you're out there already using Chatgpt, doing some cool stuff with it, I bet. Maybe even feeling like, like a bit of a pro.
Yeah.
But trust me, even if you think you've got it, you've got the hang of Chatgpt.
Right.
There's always more. There's always more to learn.
Always something new, right?
Always.
Absolutely.
So today we're diving deep. We're doing a deep dive into an article called 9 Mistakes to Avoid When Using ChatGPT.
Okay.
It's by Jody Cook, and it was published just last week on Forbes.com.
Very recently.
Yeah, very recent. Hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
And basically, in this deep dive, you're going to learn how to become, a true ChatGPT power user.
Nice.
Crafting prompts like a maestro conducts an orchestra. Because let me tell you, the difference between, a so-so prompt and like a killer prompt
Oh, yeah.
can be mind-blowing.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between just whispering a request and delivering a compelling pitch. You need to give ChatGPT something to work with,
Right.
something substantial.
Yeah, you really have to give it something meaty to chew on, right?
Totally. Yeah.
The article really hammered that home for me, and it's packed with, these insights from like ChatGPT experts.
Oh, wow.
People who use it every single day
Right.
to do these like incredible things. People like Ben Tossell
Okay.
of the Ben's Bites newsletter and Rowan Chung of the Rundown AI newsletter. Like,
Right.
These guys live and breathe AI.
Okay.
So they've got this, they've got this prompt engineering thing down to a science.
Yeah, it's interesting how the skill of prompt engineering, it's becoming so valuable.
Yeah.
Like companies are even creating job titles like prompt engineer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's clear that like communicating effectively with AI is a game changer.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's unpack these 9 common mistakes that people make
Okay.
when using ChatGPT. And more importantly, we'll talk about, how to fix them.
Yeah.
So I have to admit, I was making a few of these myself.
Really?
You might be too.
I think we all are, to some extent.
Probably.
It's a learning process.
It really is. It really is a learning process. Okay, so the first mistake is having fuzzy goals.
Okay.
It's kind of like when you hop in the car, you turn on the GPS, and then you realize, like, wait a minute, I don't actually know where I'm going.
Yeah. It's like saying, like, take me somewhere interesting, but you haven't told the GPS what you find interesting.
Right, exactly. And it's the same with ChatGPT. If you give it a vague prompt like, write me a poem,
Yeah.
it's not going to get you very far.
No. The article gave a really good example. Instead of write me a poem, imagine saying, you're a 19th century romantic poet,
Okay.
deeply moved by the beauty of the Lake District. Write a poem capturing that feeling. So you're giving ChatGPT a persona, a style,
Oh, wow.
and a setting,
Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can already picture, like, the poem in my head.
Yeah.
Speaking of context, that brings us to mistake number 2. Missing information.
Okay.
It's like briefing a new teammate on a project.
Right.
You wouldn't just say, like, go do something great.
No. You'd give them background, resources, clear objectives.
Exactly.
ChatGPT needs that too.
Yeah, it needs that context. So if you're asking for, like, a blog post, you have to tell it, who's your target audience? What kind of tone do you want? What points do you want to hit?
Think of it like the more ChatGPT knows, the more it can assist you.
Right. Okay. Up next is jumbled instructions. And this is all about, making your prompts clear, easy to follow.
Right?
Like a recipe. You wouldn't just toss all the ingredients in a bowl and hope for the best.
Right. You'd list the ingredients, their amounts, clear instructions, right?
Exactly.
You need to give ChatGPT that same kind of structure.
Totally. So use bullet points, numbering, line breaks, things like that to separate the ideas and really make your prompts crystal clear.
Yeah, it creates a roadmap,
Right,
like
yeah.
for ChatGPT,
Yeah.
guiding it through each step of the process.
Okay, mistake number 4 is unclear format.
Okay.
And I'll admit, I am guilty of this one. It's basically, telling ChatGPT what you want the output to look like.
Right.
It's like you're commissioning a painting. You wouldn't just say, paint something beautiful.
Right. You probably specify size, style, subject matter.
Exactly. So with ChatGPT, tell it the word count.
Okay.
Do you want bullet points? Do you want paragraphs? What kind of tone are you going for?
Think of it as giving ChatGPT the right canvas
Oh, yeah.
and tools
Yeah.
to create the masterpiece that you envision.
I love that. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
This reminds me of something that Rowan Chung said in the article. He actually compares prompt engineering to learning a new language.
It is, yeah.
And just like with any language, practice is key to fluency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the more you'll understand how ChatGPT thinks and what it needs to produce those great results.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to tone shifts.
Okay.
Mistake number 5. This is about consistency. Imagine you're talking to somebody and they suddenly switch like from casual to super formal language mid-sentence.
Oh, right.
It's a little jarring, right?
It would
back.
make you wonder if they're really understanding.
Right.
And ChatGPT can get confused by those shifts too.
Yeah.
But-
So pick your tone, whether it's funny, formal, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and just stick with it throughout your entire prompt.
Yeah, consistency is key to getting a coherent and impactful output from ChatGPT.
Next up, mistake number 6. Information overload.
Okay.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. LLMs like ChatGPT, they have a limited memory.
Okay.
It's kind of like a mental scratch pad. It's called a context window. And if we overload it with too many irrelevant details,
Right.
the important stuff might get pushed out. Think of it like packing a suitcase.
Oh, yeah.
Too much stuff and the zipper breaks.
We need to be selective. Right.
Yes, exactly.
And focus on the essential information.
So how do we figure out what's essential and what's not?
That's where practice and experience come in. I mean, the more you use ChatGPT, the better you'll get at recognizing those key elements that will guide it toward producing the best outcome.
Okay. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Prompt engineering. It's really a skill that develops over time.
Absolutely. It's a journey of learning and refining your communication with this powerful tool.
Okay. On to mistake number 7. Forgetting the reader.
Right.
This is a big one.
Okay.
It's so easy to get caught up, in what we want ChatGPT to do,
Right.
that we forget about the actual audience for the output. It's like giving a speech without considering who you're talking to.
Right.
You wouldn't use the same language and tone when addressing a group of children
Right.
as you would when speaking to, a board of directors.
Exactly. And just like a good speaker, tailors their message to their audience. So should your prompts.
Yeah. Tell ChatGPT who its audience is, so it can adjust its style accordingly.
Yeah. So whether it's a marketing email or a poem or a technical report, you have to specify the audience so it can hit the right tone and level of detail.
Makes sense.
All right. This next mistake is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
No assigned expertise.
Oh, okay.
You can actually tell ChatGPT to act as a specialist in a certain field.
It's like having a whole team of experts at your fingertips, ready to share their knowledge.
I know. You can tell it to be a marketing consultant, a historian, a chef. The possibilities are endless. For example, if you're writing a blog post about social media, you could start your prompt with, you are a marketing consultant specializing in social media strategy.
Oh, I love that. Or if you're researching a historical event, you could say, you are a historian specializing in the American Revolution.
By assigning ChatGPT that specific role, you're essentially tapping into a more focused knowledge base.
Oh, wow.
Within the AI,
Okay.
And that can lead to some incredibly detailed and insightful responses.
Okay. Last but not least, and maybe this goes without saying, but spelling mistakes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, typos happen.
Yeah, they do.
But they can really throw ChatGPT off track.
It's like giving someone directions with a misspelled street name.
Right.
They might end up in the right neighborhood, but they'll never find the exact address.
I love that analogy. So every word in your prompt matters.
Yeah.
So double check your spelling before you hit enter. Because, a simple typo could lead to a confusing or inaccurate response.
It's all about giving ChatGPT clear and accurate instructions so it can do its best work.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a recurring theme here.
Oh. And what's that?
It seems like a lot of these mistakes, they come down to treating ChatGPT less like a magic genie and more like a talented but inexperienced assistant.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, it needs clear instructions,
guidance.
and even a bit of training, you know?
Right.
We can't just throw a task at it and expect, like, perfection.
Right. We need to like invest some effort
Yeah.
in crafting the right prompts and understand its limitations, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's why this whole prompt engineering thing is such a big deal.
It is, yeah. The article even mentions how some people are making a living just by creating and selling highly effective prompts.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's not just about like getting better results for ourselves,
Yeah.
it's actually like becoming a valuable skill in the job market.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that core idea. You know, the quality of your output depends on the quality of your input.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Like garbage in, garbage out, but for AI.
Precisely. If you feed Chatgpt vague, jumbled, or poorly structured prompts, you're going to get vague, jumbled, or poorly structured responses. But if you take the time to craft clear, concise, and well-informed prompts,
Then you unlock the real power of ChatGPT.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from all of this. You
Yeah.
know, we often focus on the AI itself as if it's some like magical being that can read our minds.
Right.
But the truth is, it's a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, we need to learn how to use it effectively.
And that's where these 9 mistakes come in. They
Yeah.
highlight like the common pitfalls that prevent us from, really getting the most out of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So for you, the listener, what does all of this mean? Well, it means you don't have to be intimidated by ChatGPT.
Well-
You don't need to be like a coding genius or an AI expert.
Right.
You just need to understand the basics
Yeah.
of prompt engineering
Yeah.
and be willing to experiment and practice.
Totally. It's like learning to play an instrument or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It takes time and patience and a bit of, trial and error.
Trial and error.
But once you start to get the hang of it,
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
yeah. And that's what makes this whole AI thing so exciting, right?
Totally.
It's a rapidly evolving field with new breakthroughs happening all the time. What we can do with AI today is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really is. I mean, it changes every day.
It does, yeah.
But even with all these advancements, there's still this like fundamental principle.
Yeah.
The way we communicate with AI determines the results we get.
And that puts the power in our hands.
That's a powerful thought. It
Yeah.
means that we, the users, have a responsibility to learn how to use AI tools thoughtfully and effectively.
Absolutely. We need to be mindful of the prompts we create
Mm-hmm.
and the potential impact they can have.
And I guess that brings us to like the bigger picture. As AI becomes more powerful and more integrated into our lives, what does that mean for us as a society?
It raises some important questions about the future of, work, creativity, and even human interaction.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Like, will AI replace human jobs or will it create new opportunities?
Right. Will it enhance our creativity or stifle it?
Will it make us more connected or more isolated?
These are complex questions with no easy answers.
Yeah.
And they're questions that we as a society need to start grappling with.
For sure, I think it's important to remember that AI is ultimately a reflection of ourselves.
Yeah.
We create it, we train it, and we shape its evolution.
So the future of AI depends on the choices we make today.
And those choices start with, how we interact with AI, how we craft those prompts, and how we use these tools to create, hopefully, a better world.
Yeah, it's almost like we're at this crossroads, right? Where we have this incredible technology at our fingertips.
Right.
But we're still like figuring out how to use it responsibly,
Yeah.
ethically, And that's exactly where this idea of prompt engineering comes in. It's not just like a technical skill, it's a way of thinking critically
Right.
about our relationship with AI.
It's like, with great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
We have the power to shape the future of AI
I love that.
through the prompts we create.
Yeah, because it really emphasizes like the agency we have in this whole process. We're not just like passive consumers of AI.
Right.
We're active participants in its development.
So what can our listeners do, to become more like conscious and responsible AI users?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's about being aware of the potential biases that can creep into AI systems.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because AI is trained on data.
Right.
created by humans, right?
Yeah.
And humans, let's face it, are inherently biased.
Exactly. So we need to be vigilant about identifying and mitigating
Yeah,
those biases in the prompts we create and the data we use.
that makes sense. If we're not careful, we could end up perpetuating or even amplifying, existing societal biases through AI.
Another important aspect is transparency.
Yeah.
As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to demand transparency from the companies and developers creating these systems.
I agree. Yeah. We need to know how AI is being used, what data it's being trained on,
Right.
what safeguards are in place to prevent misuse.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We need to be able to trust these systems.
Right.
And trust is built on transparency.
So it sounds like becoming a responsible AI user isn't just about mastering the technical aspects of prompt engineering.
Yeah. It's also about taking a step back and considering the ethical implications
Yeah.
of our actions.
Yeah, those are some deep questions, but they're questions we need to ask. If we want to create a future where AI is, a force for good.
And I believe it can be.
Yeah.
AI has the potential to solve some of the biggest challenges facing humanity, from climate change to healthcare to poverty. But it's up to us to ensure that it's used for the benefit of all, not just a select few.
That's a really powerful message. Yeah. It's not just about becoming, Chatgpt power users.
Right.
It's about becoming responsible AI citizens.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing that we're all part of this grand experiment, and we have a role to play in shaping its outcome.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into mastering ChatGPT.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
I've learned so much, about prompt engineering, the evolving role of AI, the ethical considerations we need to keep in mind.
I hope our listeners have too.
Me too. So if you're just starting out with ChatGPT, don't be intimidated.
Yeah.
Experiment, play around, have fun with it.
And as you become more comfortable, with the tool, remember that the way you communicate with AI, it matters.
It really does. Craft your prompts with intention, be mindful of potential biases, and always strive to use AI in a way that benefits humanity.
Because ultimately, the future of AI is in our hands.
And that's a pretty exciting thought. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us on this chapter of the Chronicle of Contents. If you found value in today's story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because the world of content creation is vast, and there's so much more to discover. What's your story? Share it in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation alive. Until next time, keep creating, keep inspiring, and remember, every word, every frame, every idea, you hold the power to leave your mark.